So hello everyone. Today we are joining you live with Davide Signa, who's in Palermo, Sicily, Italy. Hi Davide, how are you?
Hi Sandeep, I'm fine, thanks. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. We are doing good in Mauritius, which is getting sunnier,
I wish I could be
and hope.
there.
Yes,
Here
yes.
is getting colder. Here, winter is coming. It just started raining, and I wish to be back in Mauritius, but your government charged too much for the quarantine, and I can't afford that.
Hopefully it'll be more relaxed in future. But your background is great. We are happy to at least visually see Italy, through this call. And just to give our viewers a background on Davide. Davide has extensive experience in the field of agriculture. He's been working in the field for more than 12 years. He's worked in over 17 countries, so that's a diversity of experience that he brings. And he's been a close friend. And ever since I've been having these conversations with him, I've learned how deep his experience is, how passionate he is on the subject. And, he's been working with some of the leading organizations globally, including being an advisor to the Food and Agriculture Organization. And as we see, Davide also happens to show us the streets of Palermo. So just to put context, Davide, I opened food waste on Wikipedia, and the first sentence said that food waste or food loss is the food that is not eaten. That means it exists and it is not eaten. And we also realize the fact that people are dying out of hunger globally, right? The causes of food waste can occur during production, during distribution, during process, during the retail distribution, or at consumption, right? And there's a very interesting estimate which is done by FAO, the organization that you were closely working with, and this is from 2014, which said the impact of food waste per year is $2.6 trillion. Right.
Yeah.
And this is a massive gap. I know for a fact that you've been very aware of this particular gap since you were a child. You've been an activist of food waste, and I think that prompted you to take up a career in agriculture. Would you like to walk us through your journey?
Very happy to do that. Well, I don't know why, but I've been having a sort of I've been genetically formatted against food waste. I have it in my blood. My father last time was telling me when I was 4, there was the final match of the World Championship football. Italy won, was 80. And they were celebrating on the road, and there was a guy sitting, and I was having an ice cream, and I was full. I didn't need that ice cream. So I felt like, let me share it with him. It's too much for me. He has nothing. Let me share it. And I started to have this feeling that whatever is too much for someone, whatever someone doesn't need, it should be shared with whoever needs it. And I've been always obsessed by the fact that in this world, there is people accumulating and people desperately in need of what the other people are throwing just behind the corner. A turning point in my life, there have been 2 turning points. One was when I decided to move really, to become an activist, and was at university. When in the cafeteria of the university, it's a buffet, so it's prepared food. They had big trays of lasagna, pasta, rice, whatever. And then at the end of the day, there were days where students were not coming to the cafeteria as often, and they were throwing in the garbage over more than half of what was cooked. And I asked them, why can't you keep for yourself? Oh, because the owner doesn't want us to get spoiled and then to start keeping and hiding the food so that we always have some saving for us and we can have our dinner secured. So, well, donate it. Oh, it's too much work. We need to look for someone coming and pick it. So I said, you know what? Let me do it with my scooter. I used to collect over 50 kilos of food every day from this bloody cafeteria, and going 500 meters from there. Nobody was even bothering to go there and try to identify a group. There was a community, a charity organization that was giving food to homeless people. So practically I managed to feed these 50 homeless people across the road with zero effort, with nothing, 10 cents of dollar of fuel from my side with my motorbike, I was getting there in 2 minutes. So I just realized sometimes it's matter of just not even bothering to think, or not being lazy and not considering it a priority. If you're a food retailer, your priority is to produce food, not to find a way to donate your waste. So someone else has to do this on your behalf. So then after this experience, when I decided that this has to become a profession, I was in Ethiopia at a Sheraton hotel. And during a wedding, at the end of the wedding, the waiters, which are also people that are not getting great salary, they were collecting, they were throwing all this surplus food in paper bags, big garbage bin bags of 50 kg, and throwing them across the wall of the hotel, where there were 50 kids, homeless kids, street children, eating, like opening these bags like they would have been monkeys. It touched so much my heart, I started crying. I went to the manager and I told him, can we organize what I just saw organized and properly done, without treating these people as human beings, not as animals? And we started organizing a food sharing and organize sharing. And then when I came to Mauritius, I used to work for FAO there. And when I stopped, I decided to found this organization called Manzei Partase, which is the first direct food sharing initiative in the Indian Ocean. And this, it's something that somehow opened the dialogue and was a pioneering organization in Mauritius. Now many others have been copying it and following and emulating what we did in the past, where nobody was talking about food waste. I started, throwing this topic on the media with the cabinet of ministers. We started talking about doing a food waste reduction bill in Mauritius, sensitizing the public about the need in Mauritius of sharing whatever all these hotels are producing, all those buffets, and giving to the people that are living behind the corner of the hotels. So this is how everything started. And then it became a profession. And I started working as a value chain efficiency expert, working on reducing also food losses, which is something else than food waste, in different countries in Africa, and to optimize value chain so that I did an initiative, for example, called From the Farm to the Plate, and another for fishermen called From the Net to the Plate, talking about how we can reduce whatever is wasted, whatever is harvested in the net and doesn't reach the plate of us consumers. And the same for the farm. And it worked very well. In Madagascar, we managed to reduce by half the mortality of live crabs. 80% of the crabs, live crabs, were thrown away because they couldn't reach a live exporting point for very stupid reason, very small technological gaps. So I managed to gather quite a good experience on tools and tips and systems that can help minimizing those losses and the waste. I think that's all from my
Definitely.
side.
It's a very interesting journey, and the thing that I really like the most, that you experienced people going through this tough challenge. You saw it. I think most of us tend to see it but don't do anything about it. The only difference is you took a step forward, and you decided that how you could help these people, and it became an initiative. And I'm sure this needs global sensitization. You started in Italy, you started in Mauritius, and the impact was very much visible, as you said, that it was even discussed in the cabinet of the country, right? I mean, if we look at statistics, it is said that 1 out of 7 children die due to malnourishment, right? And what is also a fact, that amount of food exists. It is just the gaps in the supply chain, the gap with regards to management, the gap with regards to ensuring that the food reaches the plate, which at different levels it does not reach the plate. So one is, the food exists but does not reach the plate. Second is, it reaches a plate and is wasted on the plate, right?
Yes.
Which begins with us, people like you and me, or our kids, who need to have that awareness of not wasting food, of ensuring understanding how valuable this meal is, because there are people who may be dying of hunger, and who, if they get that same amount portion of meal, they could survive and do something meaningful, right? So there is a gap exists, but at the same time, there's not enough sensitization. We are not sensitive towards wasting food. One is individual responsibility, the other is institutional responsibility. So how do you feel that we can sensitize people like you and me, who may be wasting small portions of food that could create a huge impact in the lives of people who are not getting this food?
Look, there is a lot to do. There are a few nice initiatives already launched in the world, and I've been part of some of them, including an FAO guidelines for consumers at household level on a few tips, which I then disclose when we do the webinar on Saturday, about how to reduce food waste at home. There are several very basic tools and practices, good practices that can be placed. But again, everything starts from the goodwill and the sensitization. If you don't feel that this is a problem, and if you're not aware about the problem, if your parents throw food in front of you, how do you expect as a child to grow? I mean, our kids, they learn from us. So first, school is at home. Second is at school. We are doing a good course for and seminars in schools, teaching kids and sensitizing kids how to. Let me show you something right now. I am in an historical market in Palermo. I'm gonna turn my camera. You will be shocked what you're seeing right now, for example. Look at that. Do you see that man?
Mm-hmm.
He's collecting waste food from the fruit monger that just stopped. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
We are in Europe, man. We are in Europe. These people, all these people, this is a 400 years old market. All these people you see tonight, whatever they're not selling, they're gonna throw it on the street. See all this food. So, I mean, this is something serious, and none of them would care. You see, they throw, and then a guy, look at that. Look at, there is at least 20 kilos of food. Now, some of this is edible for humans. Some of this can be very easily processed and become chicken food, can be milled and dried and can become perfectly included in the fish meal. They can be composted and becoming fertilizers. But there is so much lack of awareness across the world. I'm saying this is Europe because you expect here, to have such a level of education and awareness about it. Not at all, my friend. It's everywhere, and it's matter of caring first of all, and otherwise you can teach whatever you want and nobody would care, and people won't be incorporating those good practices in their daily life.
Definitely. I mean, I was going through the statistics, and I saw that in US, that is North America, including Canada, and Europe, the amount of food wasted per person is the highest. I mean, if we look at statistics in Europe, 260 kilograms, I don't remember the exact period, but 260 kilograms per person food is wasted while it is distributed, and around 90 kg food is wasted on consumption. That is,
Yes.
when it reaches the person, I believe these statistics would be over a month. But I believe because there is ample food available on the continent, and everybody is exporting to Europe, or Europe is a major producer. So that you don't have any scarcity as compared to places in Africa. The same statistic says that around 5 kgs of food is wasted per person because they do not have enough. Right, so whatever they get is highly valuable. So I mean, it's relative, in the way we value food. But it is also important. I know that your online course on edVentr that you will be launching soon is called Food Waste: The Opportunity. And we had this discussion, and you said that people need to see food waste as an opportunity, because when they start seeing it as an opportunity, that they know that it can be of economic value to them and to the stakeholders or ecosystem that's working alongside alongside them. So we should not see it
Exactly.
as a problem, but we should see it as an opportunity, and that's where the businessmen will start focusing onto food waste, and you know what is happening may not happen, at least in the production and the supply chain. Then consumption is about, you know, sensitizing the people. You know, how do you see this? Do you think there can be a shift, there can be a transition, and this could be one of the initiatives of your you know, social ventures?
Look, circular economy is something that every day is more and more trendy word, but it's really the future. If we don't start optimizing all the resources that we use, so making also use of what we waste, and let's be honest, there will be never a waste-free planet. Waste, a minimum of waste, will be always there. We can reduce it significantly for sure at home. We can reduce losses on the producer, on the supply chain, on the distribution chain, but there will be always a minimum amount of waste that is physiological. However, if even that minimum waste is considered a loss rather than an opportunity, we will never have this mind shift. You are very right. It's not a problem. It's more than ever an opportunity. There are companies, I can tell you in Europe, for example, in Holland, I know a cooperative of young guys that are collecting directly from the fields carrots and beetroots that are left by the farmers because are too small, cosmetically not attractive, not convenient for them to harvest because the market price is too low. So they go there, they harvest themselves, and they process it, and they do magnificent foods, juices. They centrifugate it and they produce juices. Paradoxically, this is sold more expensive than an ordinary juice, just because it's out of waste. They don't pay the raw material, but they sell it more expensive because it's ethical. So there is where you see the opportunity, because a conscious consumer, they care about it and they're happy to pay more to give, to contribute to that initiative that is sustainable, that contribute to a sustainable development that is environmentally friendly. Of course, these are niche markets, but as we scale up, consider, for example, in the fish processing, in Mauritius, all the Princess tuna, Atlantis, those, they don't waste a single gram of bones, fish bones. All is collected and is transformed in fish meal that then is given to the farms for feeding the other fishes. So they started understanding, because they see the scarcity in the ocean, and they started understanding that out of the tuna they need to make 100%. They saw an opportunity of using that for fish meal. Even if they get $1 per kilo rather than 20 as a tuna fillet, they still make it, and there's a lot. It's volumes at the end of the year. So it's also a mental attitude to understand the opportunity wherever there is a waste. This man, I'm sure, is collecting is not only because he's poor for himself. He probably has a cow, he has a goat, and he's gonna feed those animals with that food rather than going and buy some animal feed. So opportunities are there. There is a lot of circular economy based entrepreneurship that can be done, can be created out of food waste. I'll show some examples, few examples that are significant for our webinar and online course. And yes, indeed, we are on that line. Food waste is an opportunity, no doubt.
You know, I mean, talking about you know, I mean, when you talk something with experience. You know, I mean, you've had your personal experiences. You've seen the agricultural world. I think you've worked in 17 countries, right? That gives you a diversity of perspective. You've seen what's happening in different countries, and when you talk from a global perspective, right? Because you've experienced it, right? And have you seen any country or any example, you know, of any country? You mentioned about an organization, Princess Tuna, that's doing a fantastic job with their wastage.
Yeah.
But have you seen any organization that we can replicate or that we can learn from or gain, you know, gather some inspiration in terms of the way they are managing food waste?
Well, when you talk about organizations, you know, NGOs, UN, mainly what they do initiatives to projects to reduce food waste, sensitizing people or training how best to optimize. Look at it. Look how much.
Definitely.
But I don't think I have seen one organization that can be taken absolutely an example. For example, I can tell you FAO has few projects that have been very interesting where education has worked very well. One of these is this food tips, food saver tips that they do in school, the seminar that they do in school. And I can tell you, for example, the project I did in Madagascar, the one I was mentioning to you about the, um, the value chain of crab. Um, there is a lot to learn, for example, from that experience. The key of the success was a proper value chain analysis where you identify the critical points where a certain amount of food is wasted. So you go from the producer up to the consumer, you follow that consignment physically and check where at the end of the day during that transport the amount of crabs that have died or the amount of tomato that crushed because of the bumps of the road, and you identify the cause of that waste. Then you go to the market, you see that the processor refused that amount of tomato because are too old already, smashed, and the guy get 20% less price. And then you identify a possible use for that 20% loss of tomato that he could sell to someone else, maybe to do sauce or to do a secondary byproduct with that. For the Madagascar experience, for example, we managed to find a fishmonger that could sell for bait, for fishing, the crabs that they were dead. And we managed to get, at least for them, a sort of a contingency plan whenever the crabs were dying. But then we started working. I'll tell you a funny story to make you understanding how much there is no need of rocket science on it. You know my daughter, and one of the strongest and easiest solution for the reduction of mortality of crabs in Madagascar that practically managed to save over $3 million per year to these people came out of the brain of a 6-year-old child. I was there studying why there is a peak of mortality during transport when these crabs are packed alive, wrapped in a bag or jute bag. And because of the bumpy roads, these jute bags are bumping and they are one on the top of the other. So the one that is lowest is practically under pressure and the crabs die crushed from the weight of the other bags, plus all these bumps. And when I tried to introduce a stackable crates like Coca-Cola plastic crates, they were telling me no way, because the public transport charges us the same amount out of volume, and we cannot wrap those crates like we do with the jute bags and pay less when we return with the empty bags. And then I started thinking, what could I introduce that is easily producible there? Because there are collapsible or dismountable or foldable crates, but these are high-tech stuff that you buy in US or that are common in Europe, but they wouldn't afford to buy 30 euro a crate. So I need to find something that can be slightly more expensive than jute, but more durable and more convenient for them. And also make for them a cost-benefit analysis so that they see that with that little investment, that €1 more, they would save €5 of crabs, for example, that are not gonna die during the transport. So I asked, my daughter saw me so thoughtful on the sofa and told me, Papa, what are you thinking about? I told her, come, I show you. What do you think we could invent? So she came to her room, she jumped on the stairs, she came down from her room with the Russian doll. You know what is a Russian doll? Those dolls that you open and there is a smaller one inside. Then you open and there is a slightly smaller one inside, and then another one. And she told me, Papa, this is the solution. You do boxes where you can put inside of each box many, so that when they do the empty travel, they have already many boxes, like 10 bags. So initially I was doubtful, then I started thinking and I made a calculation of volume, cost benefits and so on, and it worked amazingly. We just asked a carpenter to produce 10 kits of this, and it was costing $7 for what, 4 boxes, rather than $5 for 4 jute bags. And they jumped on it. They jumped on it because they saw that when they were traveling with them, the crabs were not crushing, and they were paying the same amount than the jute bags when they were coming back. You see, 6-year-old child brain.
Yes. You know, it is interesting. I mean, when I see you, you know, I consider you as a genius of jugaad. You know, jugaad is an Indian term which is known as frugal innovation. You know, where you find the solution with the least possible resources or the most unexpected resources that you find. You know, you're able to create a solution to a problem. And you know, this is being taught in business schools now in terms of how you can find solutions with the least of resources, you know, and with the least of, you know, capital. I mean, and you know, in India, because you know we've always lived with limitations, and you know, people are brought up in a way that you don't have everything, so you have to use jugaad, and it is probably, you know, going to be the future term of management. So I see you as a very good example of jugaad. And of course it's in the blood, so Kiki, your daughter, you know, would definitely have it in the blood, you know, to find such solutions. And this is what helps. This is what matters, you know. It's basically thinking beyond the norm, or thinking out of the box, or in this case thinking of many boxes instead of a jute. instead of jute. You know, now you know, you have immense passion on food waste, and there's a global gap that we see. Now I'm talking about you, the individual Davide, right? What is your goal for the next 5 years with regards to food waste management? What do you want to do? I know you've done a lot of initiatives in Mauritius, in Europe, and maybe in other countries. You mentioned Madagascar, but how do you want to do it in a structured way? Where do we see the impact of this 5 years from today as we talk?
Well, more than telling you my personal agenda, I could say what's my vision, what would be a dream for me. I feel that there are two goals, two directions that, and if I would have been in Mauritius, I would have continued working hard and advocating for a food waste reduction bill. My vision for Mauritius was, for example, to be Mauritius the first zero food waste African country. Very easy for a small country like Mauritius. Very easy to implement. They have the experience of my NGO Manze Partaze that can be used easily and can become a sort of national initiative supported by the government, where is implemented as a norm, where food waste is fined, and where whoever saves food is encouraged and is tax subsidized with some incentive, like a tax exemption from whatever, for the monetary value of the food that is donated. And this was something that was discussed in the cabinet and then didn't came through. I had to leave, and it couldn't materialize. But if I would be there, I would continue in that direction. But in Europe, we are already there. Italy has a food waste reduction bill, France as well. Many countries are very politically already equipped. However, there is a lack of good habits at domestic level. So what I would love to do is to launch at Pan-African or European level, depending where I will be in the next 5 years, I still don't know, a national education campaign for primary school kids on food waste. And I did it already. I do this on a voluntary basis here with schools, because they don't have it in the curriculum, so they can't structure it properly. But if Ministry of Education, they would put as a topic in domestic economy, you know, 1 hour per month about food waste. You do a laboratory with them, you take them through the process, you engage the parents, you engage the family, you have them to do properly the shopping. And you, starting from a very basic things, a little teaser for Saturday webinar. Start from shopping with a full stomach. Stop going to supermarket with an empty stomach. Sounds idiot, but makes a huge difference. You go with an empty stomach, your trolley will be full in 5 minutes of a lot of junk, of food that is not only unhealthy, but is not even needed by you. You go with a full stomach, your brain function much better. You check on your list and you respect the list that you went with. Whoever is listening to us, please do this test before Saturday and then let me know if it works or how it
Excellent.
works, because I know it does.
Excellent. So we have another jugaad or frugal innovation tip from Davide. So let's try to implement. And thank you so much, Davide. It was a pleasure, as always. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thanks for taking us to the streets of Palermo. And it's a great initiative. Thanks to you that along with edVentr, we are able to. And in collaboration with you, we are able to launch this online course on food waste management where people can see it not as a problem, but as an opportunity, right? What can be our role? What can be the economic value of this opportunity? Yes. I personally am very excited to understanding and learning from you, and we invite people on this online course, whether you're a restaurateur, whether you're a hotelier, whether you're a student, whether you're a parent, or anybody who understands and is sensitive about food waste and wants to create an opportunity with food waste. Thank you, Davide.
Yes. Most welcome, guys. Take care.
Ciao.
Bye. Ciao, ciao.